Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the New Media Show. And boy, I tell you, we've been away, and we've got a lot to talk about today. And of course, I want to give a warm welcome to my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Rob, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Todd. It's great to be back in the saddle again, with the New Media Show. But there was a lot of stuff that happened with New Media and podcasting over the last couple of weeks that we've been gone. And actually, we even did a New Media Show when we were down in Las Vegas. It's just we haven't been able to get a copy of it yet to be able to push out to all of our viewers and listeners. So it's great to be back. We got a great guest. So let's get on with it.
Yeah, and I was hoping Dave would send that file over so we could provide the audience something, but I guess they'll get it whenever we get it.
Well, there's a lot of audio for them to process. That was the impression I got. It was kind of like trying to find a needle in a haystack, right?
Right. It's a bag full of SD cards.
Exactly.
But anyway, This morning when I welcome Mr. Jeff Adams from the Jeff Adams Show.tv. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's everybody in Hawaii and Seattle?
Great.
Any day that you're vertical is a good day, so that seems to be my theme here the last year. So,
you guys are dedicated guys doing this show on a Saturday for as long as you have been doing
it. So how long have you been doing your show? I know you're out of Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah,
right?
I really just worked it into my workflow. I used to do it over at Stephen Hayward's place. I started there at the TTB network, and obviously he works for Telestream, so he couldn't do the show till 5:30. So kind of ventured out on my own and started doing it Monday through Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going 4 days a week live with it, so it's been a lot of fun.
That's a fantastic time to do a show. That's a disadvantage I have here, in that I do my show at my regular tech show Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Hawaiian, so everyone's awake.
Nice.
No, yeah, so it's...
I think one time you tweeted out one time, I was like, man, it was like 3 a.m. your time or something. Like, what the heck are you doing over there?
Crazy Todd, he's broadcasting at all hours, isn't he?
Well, it's you got the day gig making the raw voice thing happen, and then you pick up kids from school and do all that other crazy stuff, and you get back here like 6 o'clock at night. Like, oh man, it's time to do a show, and you got to get ready, and so it's okay. The live serves a purpose, and we can talk maybe a little bit about that this morning, but. There's been a lot going on in the space, but I think before we get into that stack, Jeff, for folks that don't know you, why don't you give everyone a rundown really on what you're doing with your show and what your show's about, so they can if nothing else figure out if they want to tune in or not.
Well, I'm the first transvestite broadcaster. No, I'm kidding. No, I've been doing this. I worked in the music industry for about 22 years, and then like in 2007, I started really pushing artists to get themselves noticed on streaming. I got to test out like Mogulus when there was live stream, which was Mogulus at the time, and I kind of did like this music video blog, and then I really just started doing a show just to really talk about event stuff that was happening to me on the road, and just for creativity's sake, and saying I don't make this stuff up, it really happens. And then I think it was like 3 years ago I just turned it into the Jeff Adams Show and haven't looked back since.
And your website matches the motif of your studio. It's got those dark, sultry colors. So, but folks can find, of course, Jeff's show at the JeffAdamsShow.tv. So I love using those .tv domains. I've got one. I've got a 3-letter one, tpn.tv, and didn't pay a premium for it either. I don't know how that happened, but it worked out. So
was it GoDaddy?
They didn't control those at the time. I think that is the one domain I've got off at some third-party vendor, because maybe they were the ones that were holding. They won't let me transfer it either because I think it is one of those restrictions of being a 3-letter domain. I own it, but I just registered for 10 years. I get it over with. But anyway, long story short here, Rob, things have been busy in the podcasting space. We can talk a little bit about some of the news that's been going on, but let's just give the audience a little rundown of what happened at New Media Expo /NAB.
Yeah, I don't know where to start.
Whoops.
Where do you start?
Well,
There's just so much stuff going on. From the podcast awards to all the announcements that Raw Voice made around trying to get people to consume podcasts on Android. So I don't know if you want to start there or not, but that'd be a good place to start.
all right. Yeah, I guess I could. And that's one thing we've actually yesterday. Well, first of all, the subscribe on Android. Let me talk about that initiative, the one-click initiative, and I'll just kind of summarize what it does because we've got podcasters listening to this. We don't have a lot of just regular listening folks, but the big challenge has been to get Android penetration, and it sucks. They're like under 12%, something like that, and everything else is dominated by iOS and apps surrounding iOS, and mostly, obviously, the Apple podcasting app is huge, and iTunes, believe it or not, is still a monster percentage. But anyway, this Android listenership just is abysmal, and we need to fix it. And we think part of that has been the steps you have to take to subscribe to a show. I've got a iOS device, and literally I can go to my website at Geek News Central or NewMediaShow.com and click the iTunes link, and boom, the app loads, and I subscribe. It's essentially one-click subscribe. So, at a retreat in February, Angelo, I'm like, dude, we got to fix this. This is our mission this year. We got to work on, bumping up the Android numbers. And, it's yet to be seen if we're going to be able to make that happen. But what we built was a solution that's brand agnostic. And what I mean by brand agnostic is we wanted to make sure that we could get all the developers to participate. So if all podcasters go over to subscribeonandroid.com and enter their feed on the main page, we're going to give you a widget to take with you and put on your website, and you can basically use any graphic you want. We just provided you one. But how it works is pretty simple. If a listener is on your website and they click the subscribe on Android icon, just like they would on an iTunes icon, and they do not have an app loaded on their phone that's one-click capable, we are going to load up this mobile site at subscribeonandroid.com, and basically we're going to present to them the apps that are one-click capable. So Podcast Republic has updated their app. They're the first. They're the first out of the block. Podcast Addict is next. But right now, today, if someone's putting the one-click on their website, and they load this in their Android device, and they basically click Get App, it's just going to load the app from the App Store. And then once they're done loading the app, they can just click on the subscribe on Android. But they're on forward. They don't have to do this process once. They only have to go to subscribeonandroid.com once. And again, we send them there automatically. But once they have the app loaded, from that point forward, when someone clicks on the subscribe on Android logo or image or whatever or hyperlink that people have set up in their podcast pages, the app will load. The Podcast Republic app will load, and he did a beautiful job. It's he went beyond what we even thought people were going to do, and it just almost mimics exactly what happens with the iOS app, and the listener can subscribe and they're done. It's really slick, and we're hoping that it fixes the barrier to entry for Android users, and we made this brand agnostic so that we would get, again, as many developers as possible to implement this. And if all of them do it, then we're done. We fixed this thing for one click. Now it's up to the podcasters to get the Android listeners to click, for a better word. So that was kind of the goal. We got a lot of buzz out of it, and now we're we're kind of dependent now of doing the outreach to all the app developers. One of our team members has been emailing all of the app developers. We've been in communications with probably a half dozen at this point that have actually woken up and figured out what the hell we're doing. But what we really need is every podcaster to reach out to their favorite Android podcast app developer and say, implement this so we can we could have this fixed in 2 weeks. We just got to get the Android app developers moving as quickly as possible. And again, we didn't wrap it around advertising and make this a big Blueberry pay or Raw Voice play. We made it brand agnostic so we could build this as, fix this as a community and not have to worry.
Yeah, well, Todd, it's probably going to take some time because a lot of these app developers have roadmaps that
They do.
take them out, as you know.
They do.
And getting it added to their plans could. This is a marathon run here. This isn't a sprint, right?
But let's just let me give you we made it so simple. The Podcast Addict and Podcast Republic guy, Podcast Addict guy said it took him 5 minutes to implement this. And and we're waiting for his version 3.0 to come out, which is pending. And then the Podcast Republic guy, again, the implementation didn't take long, but you're right. We have to we have to go on their release cycle. So we're hoping within the next month that we make some serious headway with a lot of apps.
No, I think it's going to happen. I think, a lot of them can see the real advantage here. I think there's a huge advantage that Apple has had in this way for a long time. And so I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's great, that you did this, Todd. I think it could really potentially turn the whole podcast issue on Android around. But, I think it does get back to a bigger question. Is there something more about Android users that just don't lend themselves to podcasting? I know a lot of people have asked that question. I don't know what the answer to that is. Why there's such a huge discrepancy between Android and iOS. I don't know if this is the reason. It could be.
It may not be.
Yeah, it could be. This is part of the problem. But it's what we can work on from a technology perspective.
Right. Because Google wasn't going to fix.
Let's make it easy.
Google wasn't going to fix the tech piece. So
why? Why would they? They don't have a catalog. They don't have a horse in this game.
Yeah.
So or in this race. So, yeah.
Jeff, any thoughts on what we did there? Or
maybe you can let me in after you sell it. I can get like 10% cut or something.
He's looking for a deal.
It's like we're not okay. I'd love to give you 10%, but 10% of nothing is going to be.
Sometimes nothing becomes something,
Yeah,
well,
never know. Yeah, I don't know. We did this brand agnostic, and who knows? But the funny thing is, this wasn't rocket science. This was that was the code. That's it. We're giving the code. That was it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 lines of code.
Wow.
That fixes it. The whole, fix the whole stupid thing in Android. How long we've been dealing with this crap? It's really, and I have to give kudos to Angelo because, we're sitting in this room in Chicago in February and it's snowing out and we've been locked in there for 3 days making our plan. And he's like telling me how this is going to work, and I'm like, what? How are we going to do this? And finally, when it kind of like sunk in, I was like, holy crap, let's go. And I actually jumped around the room a little bit, but anyway.
Did you have that? You have that on video, jumping around the room?
No, but I literally kind of was like, yes. I was like, it's been a pet peeve.
Yeah, no, it has. Well, at the New Media Expo, and Jeff was a busy guy. Doing a lot of stuff. You were doing live streaming from the floor. I don't know. Why don't you tell us a little bit about all your efforts that you did at the NAB and around your show? I know you did a couple of hours on Spreaker's live stream, and you were all over the place.
Yeah, I think I did myself in and put myself in situations, putting 16-hour days in. We were hired out as a JA Creative, my company, as do product reviews for BroadcastBeat.com, and they had like a team. I think they brought out like 27 people. So we were like the D team. I guess we're that bad. I don't know, but we were the D team. We did like the creative stuff, like the funny skits and different product reviews, and then at the night we did. We had the opportunity to do the red carpet events and live stream with that. We partnered with Wowzer. On the back end, and TVU, they gave us a backpack, and then I think it was like Wednesday, I finally did the review of TVU, and they showed me the new streaming box about this big after I have to go to a chiropractor having the big backpack on. I'm like, whoa, how come you didn't give me this unit? For crying out loud, I got to go to a chiropractor now. But we were really busy. We did a lot. we were basically there for the latest and greatest technology, and then at night, I guess we did some towards night we did some entertainment type stuff. So
one thing that having done exactly what you've done, Jeff, now isn't the real work being done now? You guys put in those massive hours, but you come home and you're like, man, we got all this content. Oh my God, we got to deal with all this now. Do you guys have to post produce it? That's what I end up having to do.
Yeah, my team, we were fortunate enough. I mean, I got to bring the people that work with me on a daily basis. So, I had John Ward. He's out of Nashville, and he's actually my partner. And he's done a lot of, short films, EPK. So he just knocked it all out. We just said, hey, we'll edit this. And he knocked it out. Everything was up by Monday.
Wow.
So,
holy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good. With blog articles written and everything? Holy smacks.
Yeah, on our side, on our team. I mean, the other team, they were lacking a little bit. I just told the owner of Broadcast Media, hey, just give us the footage and we'll take care of it for you. Because he was, uploading there is ridiculous.
Right.
They had an editing station at their booth, and it just wasn't working the way he wanted it to work, and which I knew that going in. I'm like, well, but you can't tell someone that until they find out, so.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of secrets that I've learned in Vegas that I don't reveal too much on where I get good bandwidth at, because I know if I tell it, then everyone's going to be there. But, I had a 50-50 connection in my hotel room. So, uploading where I upload is not a problem, but I don't do it on the show floor.
Did you have to join the broadcast Illuminati for that, or what?
No. It's top secret hotel location. Included in the $16 a day, whatever service fee they charge me for staying there. But
yeah,
we have actually talked about that secret location
we have,
on the show before.
We have, and
yes.
For those of you that don't tell anybody, audience, but it's you have to go old school. It's at the Plaza downtown, and they got the best internet on the Strip. But don't tell anybody, okay?
Yeah, of course not.
Hey, did you guys go? I didn't know. I mean, did you guys go to that party Philip Nelson did with New Tech, the after party after the at the Foundry Room?
I did not. I was.
No, I didn't go to it either.
I was so crushed with everything. It was, just like any other trade show. It was midnight getting back to the room and face planning. So did not make it to that one. Did you hear anything on it?
Yeah, I went. It was, talking about Illuminati stuff. That was kind of weird. The Foundry Room's like this private, like club, but it was a beautiful place. But I walked in, Philip Nelson was nowhere around. I walked in this room, and there was like all these candles lit, and there was these other women in there. I'm like, he goes, "You're friends with Philip?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so it was so weird. Then the waitress asked me for my credit card.
Whoa.
So I'm like, "Where's Philip?" So I gave my credit card. I'm like, "Man, I'm paying for this, bar trip now." What?
Right.
And Philip eventually showed up. He goes, "Hey, we're out here," So, but it was really unique. I mean, it was a really beautiful view there.
Wow.
But it was weird because I don't know too much about the Foundry type thing. I know they donate instruments, but they took us all back to that room, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit because I worked in the music industry. So I said, "What is this, Illuminati stuff?" And I started walking out. A secret meeting in the back. So I'm just kidding, no. But I mean,
well, that's cool.
I walked out.
He's got all kinds of crazy connections, doesn't he?
Who, Philip?
Yeah, the guy's everywhere right now.
Yeah, I covet Philip Nelson. I mean, he's got the ideal situation. But I don't. I traveled a lot in my days, and I don't like that part of his job. But everything else about his job is a pretty amazing job.
I've got $40,000 worth of this company's gear sitting here in this room. So it's like, it's insane how much money I've spent with New Tech over the years.
And how does that work out for you every year when you go to NAB? Do you really get pissed off of what you had purchased and now what you have to now purchase? You go, "Dad, come it."
Yeah.
I saw a six-channel switcher that'll take SDI or HDMI, $1,700. Now it doesn't have all the extras. It doesn't have the streaming and all that tied in, but it's just a bare bones 6-channel switcher by Video. Oh gosh, Don was talking. I'm gonna
you. Video you?
Yeah.
No?
Oh my God, hang on. I'm gonna get in trouble here because I'm supposed to know this.
Working on a deal?
No, well, I wish. I'll find it here in a second. But anyway, yeah, it's like $1,700. I've got it on my Pro Gear website somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I purchased all the gear in my place back in December, and then I look at some of the stuff that came out. I'm like, oh man! But luckily, I'm getting I'm getting stuff to review from like Teradek and
Right.
For broadcast beats. So sometimes they let you keep it, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, that Pro Gear review stuff's can be quite lucrative, but yeah, it's Data Videos who has it.
Data video. Okay,
Yeah. So it's like I'm like 6-channel switch, and of course, if you take that output and run it into a Mac that's running Wirecast, use that for your lower thirds and your streaming. It really lowers the cost of implementing a Wirecast solution because you have a real switcher. And then you're just doing one video input to the Wirecast, and you put, that to me is like, man, that really gets you started cheap,
Well, I found a lot of things I was looking for when I was actually there, like the distribution in the cloud. If you're syndicating, the bandwidth of, sending out, 1080 files is ridiculous. So I found like workarounds with like Wowzer, but Wowzer's prices are out the roof. I mean, if you're a lucrative IPT TV network, I mean, I guess that'd be great, but I mean, the distribution. But I found another company out of Orlando that I tried out this week, and I'm able to stream out of one stream out of the TriCaster into Ustream, YouTube Live, Stream Up, all at the same time doing one feed. I mean, I can distribute a Dailymotion and my private CDN all at the same time using like one feed, which is amazing.
Who's
they distribute it out in the cloud. I'll pull it up real quick. They're out of Orlando.
And is that? Am I going to have to hand over my second born in order to afford to use it, or?
No, they have a free trial account right now. You can sign up, and I think if you want to distribute out to five other CDNs, I think it's like they have different packages. But I think the pro package to stream out over 5 CDNs, it's like $79 a month. It's called Joycaster, JOICASTER. But yeah, I mean, I it was just crazy. You get this streaming media magazine at all? You guys get that?
I do.
I just randomly opened up the page. I was back from NAB. I opened up the page, and there they were, Joycaster. I go, what is this? So I looked at it, and I checked them out, and I emailed them, and then they hit me back, hey, you work in the red carpet. I'm like, how do these guys know me? And they were from Orlando. I mean, I'm in Lakeland. It's about an hour away, but I've been using it all week, and, man, it is amazing. It's an amazing alternative if you're trying to save bandwidth. And if you're, doing a conference or streaming a concert, it's phenomenal. I mean, you take that with a new Teradek unit as well. I mean, even we were doing with the LiveView pack. I mean, we could take one stream initially and syndicate it out to all of our feeds. So it's an amazing deal.
$40 a month.
It's not bad.
So it's a software or a hardware solution?
It's software. It's
just the software.
They're probably
routing. So you send it up to them, and then they split it off to all these other places.
See, what's beautiful about this is they're probably using they're using probably a regular back end of some of the other commercial providers. They've just made it easy, so you don't have to be a geek to set it up.
No, I mean, the only thing, obviously you have to log in to your account, and then you have to click it. You have to like program the show and, say what the show is going to be. But I mean, literally, it's really easy. You hit on your end on the website broadcast now, and you hit your Wirecast or your whatever you're using to stream out, and it goes right to the feed. So it's really amazing. They give you the RMTP feed for their site, and then you program everything on their site where you want it to go, and it's really easy. It's fantastic.
We're done here. I'll be. We'll see you guys next week.
Todd's got some things to do here.
No, that's a huge score.
Yeah, and that wasn't even NAB. I mean, and it was crazy that I guess I worked myself, to death that those guys even knew who I was. I mean, they said, "Hey, you're working the red carpet." I'm like, you know who I am? And I thought it was funny because I emailed them. I was like, hey, tell me about the software. And then they told me they were in Orlando. I said, man, you got to come over to the studio, or I'll come over there, let's grab lunch or whatever. But they're doing a lot more, from what I understand, a lot more different things that I can't really talk about yet, but they're pushing it.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. And at those pricing plans, if they hold, I'm going to it just, because, okay. stream. That's 3
Yeah.
connections, and right now I can only run 1 because you guys are on that connection. I have to leave these 2 boxes off and replay
Yeah.
later. So,
Now your wife can use the internet when you do the show.
I've got 2 connections here, so she's able to use it anyway. But that's a score, man. Joycaster.co, folks. JOICASTR.co. So I know there's a bunch of live streamers that are like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Guys,
first month's free.
Guys, it
in
seems
fact,
like
there's a promo code you can use. I don't have the magazine here, but
What's the promo code?
I don't have it here.
Oh,
I wish
okay.
I did. But I mean, if you just go to the
Yeah,
website,
yeah.
you get it for free first month. Not a bad deal at all.
Not
you
a
can try
bad-
it out and see if you like it.
Yeah, and for the price point, if they can hold those prices, I'm sure it's a limited number of hours you can do, but who cares at $50?
Yeah, I think for the free it's unlimited. I think with the free account you can stream up to 4. You can't on the free account you can't stream to a private CDN yet, but you can upgrade. And I've used it, and I think I'm probably going to upgrade, and I'm actually going to purchase it. It's been worked great all week long.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's what it is. The Pro. No. There's Basic Gamer Lite Pro. Then there's Pro 3. Oh yeah. So you can do. Yeah, it gives you it limits. Yeah, let's look here. Pro 4, $59.95 up to 4, $79.95 up to 5.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. I don't know how they're making money on that, but I don't care. It's all good.
Bait and hook.
Yeah.
guys, it seems like we're seeing kind of a huge upswing in interest and participation in live streaming now. It's kind of interesting. I mean, live streaming for a long time, was kind of not a hot thing to be doing, but all of a sudden, with Periscope and Meerkat, and now we're talking about this, and I know, there was a lot of kind of live streaming that was going on down at NAB and the New Media Expo. That I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Are we seeing kind of a trend here, or are we seeing? Is the audience going to come here with live streaming, and why do you think live streaming is really starting to, hit some traction right now?
Because I think everybody wants to be heard. I think everybody has something to say, and I think like with Periscope. It's funny. I got $80,000 worth of equipment in here. I turn on Periscope, I get more viewers live on Periscope than I do in here. I'm like, what the hell did I just do? I could just use my phone. But I think that the buzz is kind of worn down about it. It was the interesting thing about Periscope was I guess Wowzer built the back end for Periscope. The CEO told me that when I was interviewing him, and I thought that was fascinating that they developed that for Periscope. But I really think that in time, streaming. I think everybody wants to do it. I don't think people that are really serious about it have the back end or the finances to do it. With that, I'd like to lead into one of the other amazing stories that I ran into at NAB was TVU. Interviewing them, they have now implemented software where they have a website, and this is really going to change the game for content. What makes everybody content providers now. So, say I am TMZ, and you're signed up. You have the TVU app, or they can make it a TMZ app. It's just like a streaming app. You turn it on, you can start streaming and say, "Hey, there's Shaquille O'Neal," and you're streaming live. They have the ability now on this website to capture that feed, get permission to use it. It's either on demand or live. They can see you on the map, a geographic map. You can sign up to get paid for your content, and you pay for it, and then they can use it directly on air or use it on demand later. It's
Wow.
Incredible. I got excited about that for brands like musicians, like Taylor Swift. If she ever wanted to do a live concert and she wanted to do something for her fans, they could do the Taylor Swift streaming app, and everybody's from their streaming from their phones, which could be Clutter because the LTE, whatever the provider is. But you could basically pull feeds from your fans and produce a whole live streaming show with that. It's pretty amazing.
That would it's almost like and I understand what they're doing there. It looks like they're trying to capture what has been done with photography all these years, where they have a outlet for people to buy photography. Now they can buy video clips and get paid for it, so that folks aren't just stealing content.
Well, I mean, it's just the consumption of, that's why I left the music industry and started a new media company, because I saw the shift. I mean, new media companies will be banking tremendously in these times, because everything is shifting and everybody wants it now. And once people have the capability to just take, what they're shooting or streaming live, and it implements into a bigger, scale, I mean, sky's the limit. It's just an amazing time we live in right now.
It's kind of interesting, because it used to be we'd have to go to TVU and rent for $2,000-$3,000 their backpack, and now, they call me and they're like, "Do you need a backpack for NAB?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "I'm using a Teradek Mini VU. It's $395 device. It's streaming via my phone." Yeah. And the guy goes, "Well, we'd really like you to use a TVU pack." I said, "Well, you guys, let's work a deal." So in other words, now, okay, the cog is flipped. Yeah. Instead of me paying $3,000 to use their bag, okay, you want us to carry the bag and promote it? Well, okay, write me a check. Right. And they don't like that. And guess what? I don't need them anymore. Right. At $400, I have something mounted to my webcam. This is what I really like that's happening in the space is the disruptors are now getting disrupted, and they have to find a new models. TV sees the handwriting on the wall. So this is why they got the infrastructure to do this capture. So it's smart on them to do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I look at it, those companies are safe with me, because if I got hired out by a music label or a manager to go stream a concert, I would still use the bonding aspect of that to make sure my stream's legit. But the average Joe on the street, I know exactly what you're saying. It's like to be able to, you can't afford $3,000, $5,000 a month. But I can't even do that.
But you may be a little bit surprised. Well, maybe you're not surprised. But talking with the Teradek folks, and for those of you that don't know what Teradek is, they make the little mini broadcaster boxes that go on cameras. In September, October of this year, they're going to come out with a device that will connect to your phone, to a MiFi. It'll connect to 3 or 4 different devices. You basically bond with the devices you're walking around with. You don't need 4 sticks. So if 3 guys on your crew have hotspots, you turn the hotspots on, it connects to the 3 devices, and then basically you pay a service fee to Teradek to go into them. They put it back together at the head end and then push it. Now that's going to cost something, but I guarantee it's going to be cheaper than maybe renting a bag. And if I'm not at an NAB, if I'm at an event where I can probably count on the wireless network to be saturated, it might be a solution that works. TV is going to be. Don't get me wrong; they've got a place in the business space for sure. But I just like it that there's options now, and it's not. I don't have to go and bust out 3 credit cards to make it happen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you have to have affordable options, and I look at all the options. I mean, fortunately for TVU, I mean, they lent us the pack for Broadcast Beat and Wowzer too, their back end. Right. Or we wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, they just said, "Hey, we'll give you this," and it was fantastic.
And you promote them, and people are they're listening to the show today. They're going to go look at them. So, what is Wowzer's website? Is
WOWZA.com. Yeah. And they have, I mean, they have a interesting concept. I mean, you can incorporate Wowzer into your back end if you're using a different CDN. But I mean, the big thing I saw that I really liked is, I mean, this takes Joycaster to another level. I mean, basically, on the free account, you can sign up for a free account with Wowzer for a month's trial, but the encoding in the cloud is you can't sign up for that. And that's basically, it'll just take your RMT feed and distribute it out just kind of like Joycaster, but you don't have to turn anything on. It's just like there. So once you take one stream up, it distributes out in the cloud. Yep. But they pay per bandwidth with that. And because I'm looking for a solution, because I'm trying to build all these, IPTV networks with, different channels, and I'm looking for like a constant like DVR type thing. And even on the syndication and like, you have like Ustream, even though I don't have a pro account, I still want to be able to stream to those platforms.
Right.
And hit a lot of people, try to hit as much people as possible. So I can't, like, where I'm at, I can't afford Wowza right now, but I think as far as development goes, they are leading the way for what we're all trying to do here, is reach as many people as possible and make it very simple to do that.
In the end, bandwidth is expensive, no matter what, and those encoding processes are expensive when you're having to, especially if you're doing the capture as well. So I don't mind companies making money. I just like it when they put packages together that I can afford. And I think, we're just, 2 years ago, this is not available, not like this, and even 6 months ago. So.
And I don't know what you guys, I've been experimenting, trying to push buttons and trying to save money. I ran into a new CDN called StringSpot out of Ohio. And I met Brian, the owner, and I was using a free account. But basically with them, they're developing, you can push directly to them. It records in the cloud. So say if, Todd, you did your show, you had the intro and you did it a little too short, you can edit the beginning and end in the cloud to what you want. It renders. It also creates an MP3 for you, but you can download your file. And immediately, probably 20 minutes after my show, I can distribute it out. It's online. Now, they are working on some top secret stuff. They're going to make an option where you can distribute your video feed to like iTunes. They're working on a feed for that. But they've been great. I actually purchased, I'll tell you the story, but I purchased the Pro plan. You get unlimited streaming for $99 a month. They don't charge you anything extra. So that's fantastic. And it gives you about 200 gigabytes worth of storage. That's great too. But I kind of did that because I was using a free account, and we had like the tornado happened, and we didn't even plan for it to happen. We ran a story that the Blaze Glenn Beck's network picked up, and they picked up the CDN feed, which we didn't plan. I'm like, oh crap, I'm on a free account on the CDN, and literally in 24 hours we had over 800,000 views of our full show that was on Glenn Beck's network.
Wow.
And they had to turn on all these back servers for us. He goes, I just want to let you know that we're doing this for you, but we hope you stay. And I said, listen, man, I'm going to stay. I'm happy with the platform. But to plan something like that, because I was like, man, if I only would have had API integration set up already, man, that would have been fantastic. But I just, you live and learn, and that probably won't ever happen again. But it was an amazing, amazing thing.
But, this is the kind of calls that I get at Raw Voice. We get calls from content creators. They're like, they're in a panic. They're like, my hosting provider just shut me down. I'm like, well, why? So, well, we got talked about here, and that has drove 100,000 views of our audio file, and it's being served from our $2.99 a month hosting account. And can you save me? And I'm like, when your traffic subsides, I can probably move you, or you can you can upload right now, and we can kind of get the heat off. But you just never know when the iron's going to strike, and you hope that the checkbook can support it if you're on a plan where you pay as you go.
Right. Yeah, it's an expensive deal, man. And when you're trying to make all the money work, but for me, it's just very important where we're moving as a company to have the best, where I feel comfortable. I know when something happens, I can fix it quickly.
Right. Call somebody.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I do this show. It's been an experiment, and it will continue to be an experiment because I test new boundaries of where it can go, and I test it during the show and know what to do when something happens. And because if you have a paying client and you get hired out for that, you better be able to move and shake and bake, because they're not going to understand that your bandwidth went out, or they're not going to care. They're going to say, well, I paid you this and it didn't happen. I want my money back. So
I've got a guy that I'm doing a deal for on Friday. I have a TriCaster Mini as well, and I'm doing a job for them, and they're in a sketchy location for bandwidth. And I'm just told him up front, hey, there's no guarantee here that we're going to be able to push at the quality that you want just because of the location you're at, and you unable to secure bandwidth, and me having to bring in a solution that and I just told them up front, and they kind of look at you like, why? And I'm just, they don't. I guess folks just expect things to work these days, but sometimes you're put into situations. That's why I always now, if I can, I go to the location and hook a computer to the internet if they're providing it, and doing some speed tests, and I go and check the backup on the how good the wireless is, and or how good the the actual Verizon connection is, that we're whatever we're going to use, because you just never know. And but this guy, I just told him, I said, well, if nothing else, we'll record it and we'll run out the door and have it go up live an hour later. But if you long as you forewarn them, you're okay. But it's when you come in there and it falls off the face of the earth, it's not a good feeling when you got their money in your pocket.
Yeah, we ran it all out with we did some stuff a few years ago at South by Southwest, and ran in the same scenario, because everybody's uploading, taking pictures, and learned a lot. I can tell you, 3 years ago, learned a lot what to do and what not to do. And I mean, those type of experiences are priceless, because I will never do the way we did it before, because you think simplicity's the way to do it sometimes, and sometimes it just doesn't work in the environment.
Yep.
And so, I mean, like I'm already thinking about NAB next year with some of the red carpet stuff. I'm like, go big. I'm not going to spread myself thin as far as a personality goes. I'm going to hire people out. I'm going to do a TriCaster Mini setup and have 3 or 4 hosts on the red carpet so we can cover more ground. Because I think Tuesday night at the TV Streaming Awards, everybody walked on the red carpet. I did 150 interviews streaming live. We recorded them, and I was done. And I sat down and grabbed a beer, sat down, I'm like, and was sitting there, and they go, we have our first winner. And I went, oh my God, I got to do the winners now too. And so I went back over there, and I told my producer, I was tired. Like, luckily, like Tuesday night, I had Stephen Haywood. He was he helped me on the podcast things. And if it wasn't for him, I couldn't have done it.
Right.
But and then it was like the TV Streaming Awards. I had my producer Chris, who works for the company. I said, "Dude, you're gonna have to do these," and he loved it. I'll do it, and he had a blast doing them. But man, you can get really, really tired at NAB doing that stuff.
I found we do our big show every year, CES. I take a whole team to CES and cover that show. A little different vibe, obviously, but
yeah,
2-3 hours max per day on air is all. After you get more about 3 hours, you get punchy, and you're trying to stay concentrated or concentrate. You just can't do it. 2-3 hours a day is about max. Now you can still go do some walking interviews and that kind of stuff. Then you do one-offs. Those are fine. But we were doing 2 to 3 hours live, and at 3 hours it's like, done. Let me get me out of here and move on.
Oh, I know. I was at Rob over at Spreaker. I was doing the first day there. I don't know if it was a dry air or whatever. I had a scary moment. I think it was close to the end of the show. I was like talking and nothing was coming out. I was like, and I started freaking out. We're streaming video and we were streaming. I was like, water. And everybody was making fun of me, but I was just like, that was a scary moment when you lose your instrument. Nothing's coming out, and you're like live doing something. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It was like panic in my eyes. I thought I was drowning or something.
Yeah, you do really push yourself pretty hard at those type of events. I know I was beat up pretty good, and then I had to drive a car all the way back to Seattle from Las Vegas after all that too.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Yeah. 2 days in the car, 18
Spreaker
hours.
Budget?
What's that?
Spreaker budget?
No. It was my daughter's car. I had to drive back up to Seattle. But yeah, I mean, I was just beat up. It took me a good 3 or 4 days to recover from the 4 or 5 days, that I was down in Vegas and doing that whole thing. It was just pushes you to the wall,
Hey,
yeah, you were doing like 2 hours on there on Spreaker?
Actually 4 hours.
Oh my gosh!
You should have consulted there, Rob, before you agreed to do 4 hours.
Well, I mean, it's just audio. I mean, it wasn't as quite as challenging, but it was. I had great guys like Jeff that could come in and take over an entire hour. So
right.
So it was really. I think probably 3 hours. Probably next time would be probably the ideal spot. 4 was pushing it, I think.
Yeah. Hey, go ahead.
I was going to ask you. So how did it feel this year? I mean, you guys started the podcast awards. So how did it feel this year, not being the guy there? Responsible.
I'm glad I wasn't responsible.
Yeah. But I mean, did you guys know I had, I don't know, you guys ever heard of Tom and Dan in Orlando?
No, I haven't.
No.
I had them on the show on Tuesday on the Spreaker booth, and they were nominated for awards. But they came from Clear Channel. They left their Clear Channel deals with terrestrial radio, and they get about 20,000 downloads per episode. I mean, they're wrapping buses in Orlando. It's insane. And they're not even on radio. And then Real Radio 104.1 in Orlando picked them back up. They're just their podcast to play once a week. They pay them now to do that. But I mean, I was blown away by that interview. That there's guys like, because the biggest debate is there's guys walking around like, I'm a podcaster. I make this much money a year, and you can too.
That's right.
Only if you come to my seminar and pay $79.95. And I'm just so sick of that bullcrap.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, I hate that stuff. I hate it. But these guys, I told them, I said, dude, you guys got a stick now. You guys could go out and show. I mean, they're full-time doing podcasting, but I think it helped they had a terrestrial background, but they've been free from terrestrial radio for 3 years. I was amazed by that story. I was like, wow, there's hope, But yep. I was asking them on the Spreaker show, if you guys didn't listen to it, it's a great show. I was asking them those questions, like, what would you say from a regular broadcaster, podcaster perspective? What could you do? And they shared a lot of information. They didn't have to, but they did on the show. I was like, wow, slow down, guys. You guys are, giving it all away. But it was great information.
Yeah.
Going back to the podcast awards, it was a. Be honest with you, I'm glad that Rick and the team have it. They learned a lot. They're going to go through and revamp it next year. New website. I mean, the infrastructure is 10 years old. And it looks like it. So it needs a full revamp and everything. And I think they're going to do a good job with it and change the rules up a little bit. The award ceremony was great. It was a little weird having an ad during an award ceremony, but and also too, I think while we can say anything we want on the internet. You had a full body of categories there. Some of those probably weren't necessarily conducive to talking about some of the topics that were talked about. So I think that, maybe a little tweak in the dialogue. I love comedians and I love them being funny. And
wait, there was comedians there?
Where were they at? They were teleprompter comedians, is what they were. So
yeah. But
so it's they'll learn. They'll get it right. They'll figure it out and get it dialed in. And they'll maybe at some point we'll get this thing up where it's like the IAW TV stuff. We'll be able to have an actual red carpet and people will dress up and people will make sure that they are there if they've been nominated.
Right.
And not have the cricket thing.
Yeah, I heard some talk that maybe the producer of the Web TV Awards could be working on the podcast awards, but it's not confirmed or anything like that. But I also wonder if the whole format of the awards needs to change to be more like the Web TV Awards, where there's a panel of industry people that evaluate nominees.
It is the people's choice, not the panel's choice. So Rick is going to have to navigate that himself. And how he wants to do that.
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking, because it seems like it's the same shows winning every year.
Well, it's because those shows have got, let's be honest with you, they're working their audiences hard. So
no, that's exactly true, and that's what makes it kind of like it's the same every year too.
Well, at the same point, again, it's up to Rick to change it. It's not my deal
I know
anymore.
it is. I mean, but we can speculate now. We're not involved,
right?
But it seems like that there might be another way of doing it. I mean, it's still great to have a People's Choice category, and that kind of breakdown. But to have, like the Webby Awards, I participated in that for many years around kind of the radio side of the Webby Awards, and there was a panel of experts, right, that evaluated the nominees.
But how do you come up with the nominees then? That's the next thing. And how do you remove biases? And when is it, some of these events are pay me enough on
Yes,
sponsorship,
that's
and you're nominated, and so I don't know how the Webbies work it for
well, they
nominations.
actually work on a model that you do pay a fee to submit your
Oh,
show. Yeah,
yeah, that works out real well.
but I'm not
Nice.
I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that it just seems like for Serial to not win a category seems a little. It doesn't
It's
feel
because
like it's quite right.
well, their audience again, Rob. It's about the audience, and their audience didn't vote.
That's
So he didn't push it, you know?
because Serial didn't say anything about the awards either.
Right.
Right?
American Life has never picked up their awards in 10 years, yet they win every year. So,
Really?
but American Life doesn't promote it either, but they get nominated and voted on.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, on a side note, they probably should get I think it was their second year in a row. They said Tom and Dana won because Dan came out on the red carpet, and then they said I think it was Tom and Dean, and he was like, they just called me Dean. They got it wrong. He was like all flipping out about it. It was pretty funny. I was laughing.
well,
But
we'll see what New Media does on that, and luckily it's not my baby anymore, and I don't have to take the death threats and hate mail and everything else that went along with doing them.
now you guys, what's the one that's happening in July in Dallas? Are you guys affiliated with that at all?
I'm
Podcast movement.
I'm going to the event, but not
Yeah.
affiliated with those folks as far as on an official basis.
Well, and they also have a Hall of Fame that they're doing too back there.
Right.
So, it's going to be interesting to see how that event contrasts to the podcast awards. I don't know, Todd. What do you think? Do you think there's a spot for two awards like this?
Well, they're going. Well, there is. They're doing it.
Yeah. No, I mean, but is it going to? Is there a potential that could be the awards for the podcast community?
They've set up this thing as the Academy, and they basically announced their Academy. They chose who was going to be on the Academy, and and as love the podcast movement guys and what they're doing over there. And I looked at the Academy list, and it wouldn't have been necessarily the list I picked, but and not taking anything away from them. They got to start somewhere, and guess what? I should not be the one to criticize because I just got out of a system where I was getting my ass beat every year from the podcasters for running a awards thing.
Man.
So you can never win as running an awards thing. You can never win. So I'll just shut up.
What's the award going to look like, the one in Dallas, if it's geared to all the podcasters? Is the award going to be like a award that looks like this? Because it seems like all the podcasters have this little, for their pictures, they have to take their hands around the microphone like this and pose. You ever notice that? So is that what the award's going to look like in Dallas?
Who knows? Who knows? But they're making it more like the Academy of Awards. So we'll see what happens with those guys. And again, they've got something going on over there. They're building momentum. So it is going to be the only podcaster-only event in the space. And they learned a lot from their first event. I'm sure they're going to learn a lot from the second event. They got some great sponsors on. Some of the sponsor spots were $20,000. So,
ouch.
They've signed those. So, they've sold some major sponsorships into that event. So they should put on a hell of a show.
Yep.
Sounds like it. Good grief.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be interesting to see how it brings the community together, because last year it was fairly focused on kind of the podcast kind of business people. Yeah.
Is there even a business with that? I mean,
well, there was the business of the business to pay me $89.
I'm here to talk about, I know you just paid $150, but I'm here to talk to you about my conference that I'm doing back home that you have to pay an additional $79.95 for to come to that. But when you get there, there's the catch. We're going to go back up to New York, and you're going to pay an additional $79.95 plus your airline ticket and hotel to learn absolutely nothing.
But Jeff, greenbacks are what make the world go round, right?
Yeah, I can't knock it. I wish I was doing it. I'd be making some money. I don't know if I could be in front of people and actually say all that to them, but I don't know.
Well, that's true.
I have to be very, very careful in voicing my opinion about this. I've taken a lot of, I guess for a better word, hits from a business perspective, it's just better that I refrain. All I can say is
Sure, sure.
it is a little yeah. I'm not a big fan of that whole spiel and
But there,
spiels.
Todd, to kind of level the playing field on that, there is some good content that comes out of that community, and I think
Oh
there is a
yeah.
place for it. And if it brings a lot of attention to the space, I know I followed the social media marketing world event down in San Diego, and there was a lot of energy down there around podcasting, and I think it's probably a good thing for the space that genre of content is spinning up, and they're all really really good at promoting podcasting and promoting the medium. So I think it's probably a net gain, even though we probably don't feel comfortable doing that ourselves. But it's probably a net gain for the industry.
During my personal session or my single session at NAB or NMX, I was up against Rob has a podcast, so that's a tough one to be up against from a session time and
Did you guys not talk to each other for 2 days or something?
no, it's just but I did this. I had a nice crowd, but I did my topic was 10 years, 1,000 episodes, and I talked about the good, bad, ugly, and everything in between, and I even talked about the money that I've earned, and it's just the first time in 10 years that I've ever, and I only revealed it to that audience. I don't know if I don't even know if I stated the amounts. I showed them on the screen. I asked people not to take pictures of them. Like I'm a little, I'm kind of old school in that it is cliche to show how much money you make. I think it's, but I wanted the point I tried to bring across in that session, and I thought long and hard on that full topic about talking about the money was people need to understand that there is significant potential to do well if you do the other stuff. And this is 10 years of hard grind. This is
Yeah.
not 10 years of this 1,000 episodes to get to this point. And my point was, and Jeff, I think you understand this too. You just got to do this thing, and you have to innovate, and you have to work hard, and you got to love your audience, and you really have to treat this thing as a job. And if you don't, it's just like anything else. You're not going to get the results you expect. But had a good discussion with the folks at that, but I think if we have some ground truth, if we have some content creators that have been in the space for a while, that are willing to come out and share out to small audiences some ground truth on what's really happening in space and what the potential is, I think it'll help the space a lot. But I think it has to come from well-established people that are respected and trusted in the space. And if you're, and at that point, it's a big thing to open up and show someone your checkbook.
Right.
And that was really for me the hardest 3 slides that I had on that whole deck, and I pondered right up to the moment I showed them whether I should or not. But I think if we have some people in the space that are willing to kind of step up and say, this is what's possible, this is what you have to do to get from point A to point B, I think it'll help the space a lot. If you'd asked me that question a year, or if a year ago, I'd have never said this. But I think it's maybe time for legitimate folks in the space to come out and kind of talk, and you don't have to give exact numbers, but
Yeah.
generalities. I don't know, Rob. What do you think? Do you think it's time for some of the leaders to come up and say this is what the potential is, and this is set some real expectations?
I think that there's some advantages to that for the industry overall, because I think it could be a counterbalance to a lot of the other side, which is exaggerated claims that
Right.
exist in the space. I spent 6 years building a radio show podcast as well, and getting sponsorships and things like that, and it definitely was never easy, and it was a lot of hard work. And I agree with you 100%. Todd, you and I go way back to the early days of the Tech Podcast Network, and trying to pull that group of stray cats together
Whew.
was always a challenge. and trying to monetize from day one has always been a challenge. And I think that it maybe has gotten a little easier, but I think it's also gotten a lot more competitive, and I think it's gotten in other ways probably more complicated because you're dealing with a lot of different situations now, especially as the merging of broadcast radio into the space and how that's kind of evolving the whole advertising medium. But it might be time for, I think that would be really helpful to a lot of people, because I think a lot of people get into this business thinking that they're going to be able to quit their day jobs and not do it full time. And I think that could be unrealistic.
And here's something that's funny. Tech Podcast was rocking it. I mean, do you know how much money we were flowing through that in the early days?
Yeah.
Holy crap! People would crap their pants if they really knew how much money was rolling through that network, and it was insane. It was really insane.
Yeah, and you had a fairly large number of shows even back then. I mean, you were like in the 100 shows, 100, right. 200 shows,
and there was a dozen shows that were making 150,000 plus a year in the early days. And some of those shows quit. They were making that huge kind of money, and they said, I'm tired. I'm going to move on.
That's a lot of work.
Wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute. There we go. You hear that? Oh. 150,000.
Yeah. Chump change, right, Todd?
Yeah, whatever. That's not chump change. That's good money.
Here's what I see. I see just a cluster of you have these conferences. Everybody's looking for hope. I mean,
right.
Someone gets smart, they're going to align. I think, coming from the music industry, when, Steve Jobs said, here's the iPod, it changed the music industry for forever. And I really see that, coming from that background into this background, I really see there's really no, and it's good, you don't have that suit mentality, people kind of telling you what you can't do, but there's really none of that happening. There's no one really focusing on the back end of the business. I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to come in and basically offer this type. I can do this for you. You come on this network. I'll negotiate a deal for you. I really don't see that, because a lot of these podcasters are holding their own cards because they're scared.
Yeah.
And they're holding them close, and they could be making a lot more money if they would just build trust and build a business relationship with somebody to expand their platform.
Well, Jeff, why there's not a lot of trust is there's some history where some podcasters that just absolutely got flamed.
Yeah.
You look what Mevio did. They just, oh man, and they took 20, 25 shows and just decimated them. Is there anybody that survived from that, Rob? Was it maybe Don and Drew were the only ones? I don't know if maybe one or two shows that survived that.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many that came out of there in one piece. One other thing that we probably should mention here is that Mr. Adam Curry was at the Podcast Awards.
Oh, yes, he was.
The legend.
Yeah. So
still looks the same.
It was good to see him back kind of connecting with the space. I know he was nominated for an award for his No Agenda show, but it was good to talk with him. I know you talked to him too a little bit, Todd.
Yeah, and I'll have to say that the No Agenda show is the best podcast in the universe for those that are No Agenda fans. But Adam and what he's doing over there is a model that very few other podcasters are duplicating either. They have a fan-supported show that is. You listen to a couple of episodes, start doing the math. They're doing very, very well. And then they have their ups and down shows, but sure. They do a 3-hour show, and it goes against absolutely every rule in the book. But they do a great job, and if anyone can pull it off, obviously Adam can. But Adam hinted that he is going to be taking a more active role in the space. Matter of fact, I've got to get him scheduled to have some meetings. I'm going to backfill him, kind of give him the, if he hasn't been completely engaged in what's going on in space, I'm going to get him caught up, and at least from what we know. And
Todd, let's get him on this show.
Oh, absolutely.
We can get all caught up with him.
So. Yeah, so let's say I'll try to book that. That's for sure. Someone was asked to do an interview, and they started off. It kind of got started weird because Adam being the Podfather, and of course Dave Weiner as well, equally should be in that category.
Mm-hmm.
They started asking me a question. I said no. I told I almost was rude to the person interviewing me. Me and Adam, and I said stop. I said this guy right here. I said without him this would not exist. I said so don't, or it would be in a different format.
Yeah.
I said to him, so please ask this question to Adam. He's the guy that needs to answer that. And I think as we move into 10 years plus in this space, I owe a debt of gratitude to what Adam and Dave did. Our business would not exist without the work that they did and the inspiration I had for starting my show. And, and I can't overstate that. And I don't think most podcasters understand the genesis, and maybe they don't need to, but at the same time, if anyone is, and if anyone can come in and make some movement, Adam probably could, and he's indicating he might. So, or he's going to be involved in doing something. So, be curious to see what he does. But
that's good that you guys have respect for. I wanted to ask you guys a question. You guys have been doing this for a long, long time. And do you ever deal with you might see some schmuck just come along and they excel, and you guys have been doing it for so long, and you go, what the hell? Does that ever bother you? It seems like you guys are really grounded with just what you just said about Adam. I mean, I think that's very, very important in this culture, that people realize that people have been doing it for a good 10 plus years, to pay homage. Like, this guy was doing it for a long time. I saw his stuff, I acknowledge his stuff, and just really pay homage to who really paved the way. I mean, do you guys ever battle with that? Because I really see it's kind of like the golden years of hip hop. You had all these guys that were up in New York. You had this movement, and then you had these guys that just accelerated, made millions of dollars when the guys laid the foundation, and they made nothing. You know.
I think there's always those that were there and built and set the framework. But there's the thing I like about this space. There's room for everybody, and
I just want to see everybody succeed.
Me too.
And have because all boats are going to rise if everybody does well. If we get a big star come into the space and blow up and do great things, it's good for everybody. And I'm going to be supportive of anybody that comes into the space that brings energy. And I think that the big thing that we've seen over the last couple of years is more women come into the space.
Yep.
That needs to happen a lot more.
That's going to be really great to pull in, that huge demographic group into listening to podcasts as well. So, I mean, I've been very supportive. I know Todd has been very, very supportive of new people in the space, and there's no animosity that exists.
I want to see 1,000 serials. I want, I'm all about the revolution. I call it the evolution, but I'm really, and to be honest with you, I'm about the revolution of this media space. I'm about sticking it to the man,
right?
And and it's what really, there's certain pivotal moments in your life that really piss you off, and one was a VC guy that told me I was too old to do it yet. I'm still standing, baby. Our company's still rocking it, and the rest of the companies they funded are gone. That was a pivotal moment. I had a cable executive that sneered at me and told me that I couldn't afford to be on broadcast television. I mean, it's things like that just energize you to go out and just destroy them.
Yeah. That definitely gives you fuel for the fire. I mean, I was asking that question just to, you guys seem really grounded. I didn't mean to
no, it's okay.
Say anything off color, but I felt, when I started doing this, it was just, I felt like it was, I was jumping into like DJ wars with people. People would try to see what I was doing, and they would just like beat me down. I'm just like, and finally I just said, you know what, I can't be in this culture. I'm just going to unplug and do what I do, and not really worry about what people think, and just do it. And because I think a lot of times people just get caught up in these circles, and it can really, when you're doing broadcasting, podcasting, sometimes to pull the plug and just kind of reset and go, I'm just going to do what I do and try to succeed.
Be honest with you, Jeff, there's been so many lessons learned of what not to do. If the folks that are doing the doing their stuff, if they take those lessons on board, there's no reason why they can't succeed. So,
Right.
it's I think we've learned some of that hard stuff, and it's easier. The tools are better. I mean, just like I said, you don't have to spend this kind of money to have this. You can do it much cheaper now. So thank goodness.
Yeah,
Are you
and
serious?
Jeff, and over the years, there has been a fragmentation in the podcasting space. The comedians tend to hang out with the comedians, and the business podcasters hang out with the business podcasters. So you get these groups, and I know that I've been working hard, and especially as the kind of online radio folks have started to come into the podcasting space and want to get involved. I've been trying to reach out to all these groups and kind of build relationships where they're knowledgeable. Because a lot of these new people that come into the space don't even know that the New Media Expo exists, or don't even know about podcast movement, don't know about the podcast community and how to engage. And I try and get them on, at least get them on this program to share what they're doing and have more people be aware of these new people that are coming into the space. So I think that's an important thing as well, is that the existing people that have been around, like Todd and I and our Rob Walsh and a lot of the other folks that are in the space have been around for 10 years, to reaching out to these other groups and these new people and kind of, bringing them into the fold and making and keeping this community intact. And that's what I'm really hoping will happen at the podcast movement event, is that we'll start to see that coalition coming together of the whole industry, and not have people that don't know what's going on and are just out doing their own thing and not really knowing anybody else in the space.
Well, I mean, I just want to say thank you to you guys, because, I've said it to Stephen Haywood when I was, searching around trying to get my show better. I mean, I ran into you, Todd, online. Rob, you guys doing this show. You guys have been doing it for a long time. And, Steve was like the Wirecast guy. So I mean, it's like you guys have been doing it for so long, and people try to like, how can I get a better setup? How can I, you guys really set the stage early on. Leo Laporte too. Obviously, he had, he's got that freaking beast out there now. But I mean, you look for parameters where to gauge your content and the audio content and the creative content, and thank you guys for producing great content for the last 10 years.
And I think one thing that we have to also take into effect, Jeff, is that all of us, I'm the old dog. I'm the old guy now. It's kind of weird. But we have to listen and keep moving, because this space is continually changing. So all of us have to continue to keep our ear to the heartbeat of what's going on and listen to the, what the new folks are having trouble with. And, that's part of my mission too, is to make it easier for new folks to get in space. So, if we all continue to, push the envelope and do what we can, I think it's going to help the space in the long run and experiment. And, I told my audience, my tech audience, I said, listen, it's time. You guys been here for 10 years. We've been doing it on the same format. It's time for some experimentation. So you guys are the guinea pigs, and I'm going to start experimenting on them a little bit. And the response to them was, let's go. Let's try some stuff. So the audiences are, open to change too. So I think that all of us can have fun with this, and the key is having fun. And I've, Rob, I've told you, and I've told the audience, if this thing quits being fun, I quit. That's when I'm done with it.
So do you think that the merger of National Association of Broadcasters and the New Media Expo was a success, or do we think that there's some tweaks that can be made to that merger? What's your thoughts, Todd?
Move the entire section 2 rows over. Get me away from that wall. When we looked at the show layout, I'm lucky enough that I get pick one. I get the pick one for the booth. I'm the longest standing exhibitor at NMX. So I was like, okay, where's the entrance? There. I want this one. And then NAB put a wall up and totally destroyed my booth positioning. Frankly, I was pissed. And so was the WordPress folks. But it wasn't NMX's fault. They put that up there without telling them. But, if Rick can get everything pushed 2 rows, I think it'll help us a lot. Also, I've heard, talking with the live stream folks and some other vendors, they're being forced out of South Upper, and they're going to be pushed to North. So my thought was, okay, if that's happening, if they're forcing those, a big company like Livestream at, man, they need to be at the other end, or they need to be ahead. They need to be with us.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they totally do. I mean, you saw, Steve was there with, obviously Telestream had their big booth, but they had a Wirecast booth over on the other side where Steve was at.
Yep.
But I really feel with the whole movement, I think a light's going to go on with these companies. I mean, terrestrial radio is still going to be around, but where everybody shares the space, because these companies need creative content.
Yep.
They need creative content. And people like you guys, yourselves, and what we do, and what everybody does with podcasting, they need those relationships to push their the stuff that they're trying to sell. So I was like, man, this is all the way over here. This should be right with all the technology companies happening at the same time, because I think in 15 years you're gonna see that. I mean, the whole shift of what just happened is going to be the NAB.
Jason in the chat room says, what do you guys think of Clamor? I've been using it all week after NMS. Could be game changer for viral discovery. I don't know. I saw the app. I used it. I'm not 100% convinced, but you have to pre-plan in your head where you're gonna cut something. I don't think the workflow is as smooth as it needs to be. Rob, did you play with Clamor at all?
Yeah, I did, and I talked to the founder of the company and things like that, and I do think that what they're trying to do has been needed in the space for a long time, and it could be a content creation platform, not just a social sharing platform. So.
But it also needs to be an API that ties into everything. It can't be just a standalone app.
No, that's right, and I think that's the direction that they're going with it. Trying to take snippets out. I mean, in a lot of ways, this isn't a new concept or a new thing. There has been audio search companies that have been trying to do this before. There was one up here in Seattle like 6-7 years ago that was trying to do it too, and it was usually around search, right? So you search for audio, like an audio search engine. Google was actually involved in doing audio search for a while as well. But then trying to find that piece of audio and then be able to clip out part of it and be able to link to it or share that kind of thing. So I think it just may be time for that, because we're kind of getting to a point now where there's so much content and it just could be a way that podcasters can also add audio to their programs as well. That's what I was thinking about it too. So you create this conversation that's happened in broadcast media for a long time between, especially between the Republicans and the liberal media, right? Sharing clips about each other and then beating each other up. So I can kind of see that phenomenon happening here too. I mean, I did and Jeff, maybe you've been involved in this kind of thing too, where you have two shows that are kind of like warring with each other. It's kind of funny, right? So you could create this dynamic, right, where shows are talking about other shows and sharing clips and talking about those clips as they talk about each other. I had that happen, with my show, and it was fun. I enjoyed doing that. I just don't think it happens very much in the space right now.
I'm confused. I thought all podcasters were libertarians.
Most are, I would say.
I did have to go ahead.
Liberal or libertarian? That's a little it's a little different. Yeah.
I think it runs the full spectrum, to be honest with you. The audiences do. And that's a good point, though. If you're a liberal doing a podcast, you better remember that 50% of your audience is conservative, so you better not piss them off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And vice versa.
Glenn Beck, look at Glenn Beck. I mean, good grief. Look what he's doing.
And I tell people that I subscribe to his network just to learn what they're doing. There's some lessons to be learned there. You may not like the guy's content. You may not like the guy at all. But what they're doing over there is we could learn some stuff from that.
Yeah,
and
it's massive.
They've got an army of people. One thing what was I going to say about the going back and forth? I had a guy come up to me and ask me, he said, I want to do a podcast about the idiot things podcasters say. And I said, well, great. Sounds like a great show. Be a lot of fun. He says, but I'm afraid. I'm like, well, you can always mask your voice. And because he wants to go in and start doing clips about, idiotic things. And I thought it
Yeah.
would be hilarious. I'm like,
Yeah.
listen to my show. You're going to get 2 or 3 clips an episode.
How would he morph his voice like the guy from Batman, the guy with the mask?
So,
Well, because I mean, that's the whole premise behind what Jon Stewart does with the Daily Show, right?
Right.
He plays clips from other people's broadcast shows. So I don't know. I was just thinking it could be a whole nother way of creating content.
we got like 3 or 4 news things here.
All right.
Did you get spam this week?
Spammed.
Did you get spam from podcast with an s.com?
Oh, yes, I did.
They definitely could have, about $100 worth of consulting would have saved them a major grief.
No, it's just common sense.
They did about 4 or 5 things really stupid and, offering free hosting. Oh, I'm sure that's going to last. Boy, oh boy, just the crazy models. Also, Adweek has got an article about the folks at iHeartMedia will unveil their first self-produced podcast. So,
Clear Channel's getting into podcasting.
Yeah,
Actually,
so
producing podcasts.
they're going to be doing some shows, and they're going to do going to be Skybound Rundown, The Vent, Heart of the Beat, Get Mic'd, and Who is Marty Hirsch. So one's going to be a gaming podcast. The other one's going to be talking, I guess, with celebrity moms. I didn't know that was actually entertainment category. Heart of the Beat is going to be talking about iHeart, of course.
Well, Todd, just to think, Snooki, she's a celebrity mom.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
There you go.
There's going to be a mockumentary, so someone's going to be mocking the voices of real rock and roll survivors. So anyway, it looks like iHeart's getting the game, and they're going to be doing some shows, which makes you go,
Well, I think it's a good sign.
Yeah,
I mean, the whole concept of these big media companies creating original content for podcasting, I think, is the key.
Yeah.
And Dave Weiner in his River of News has launched Podcatch.com. It's basically curated content that his friends like to listen to. He hasn't talked about open sourcing this, but basically it's really what this is, and I have to ask, it's just a curated playlist. And
well, I mean, that's what Dave is all about, is just creating lists of things, right? I mean, if you think of his feed, I mean, for OPML and RSS, it's just lists, right? Playlists. Yeah.
So we'll see if he opens that code up. But there was some product announcements at NAB that were for the common podcaster. And then we covered a couple of those over at ProGear.guru. Talked about the Sennheiser and Apogee launching the digital clip-on mics that tie to the iPhone, which is really smart. Fantastic quality. Again, going right into the iPhone. So that was something I thought was good. There was a lot of little product announcements there that were definitely designed for this audience and folks that are looking to save some, not have to spend a lot of money, but yet get some cool stuff. And I can't go without saying that Blackmagic really hit some home runs at the show too.
Yeah, they
did. It's on the upper price end, obviously, for some stuff, but they're I bet you a Sony and Panasonic and JVC guys wake up, and when they think about Blackmagic, I'm sure their blood pressure goes up because they're another disruptor in the space. Kind of like Red.
Did you run into any problems during your show? Because all this gear I have in here, I had to cancel. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday show. I had to cancel because all these stinking updates. Everybody's showing their NAB, and it messed up all my gear in the studio, like Blackmagic updates with the cards, and it was crazy.
I typically don't let anything auto update. I wait a couple of weeks after the show because I know this is exactly what's going to happen. Matter of fact, there's a TriCaster update that I have to pay for that I'm waiting to see how that shakes out. Matter of fact, I almost have to learn the TriCaster over again with this new update. But Wirecast and those folks are coming out with lots of stuff. I mean, it's a cool time. It really is.
Yeah.
Todd, I think part of that TriCaster update is to add, I guess, some functionality for Skype TX, right? That's their new Skype for business.
Yeah, they've got you're using it right now.
Yeah, see if I can get a shot of it real quick.
So let me bring it back here. It's called Talk. Yeah, there it is. Let me bring you up full screen. There we go.
Yeah, see if I can get a better shot there. I'll try to get it.
So it's called Talk Show, and
Oh! Hang on.
so it's basically it's up right there, that box. It's a dedicated Skype machine, and it will. I tried one, and obviously his video looks fantastic. I think my solution that I homegrown is just as good as Talk Show until, I'll probably with my solution for a while yet. But how have you liked it using it so far, Jeff?
I've used it for a few guests coming on the show. I mean, this is the first time I've used it being on someone else's show.
Right.
And I'm really enjoying it a lot. But I've used it. It's been fantastic. I mean, obviously, the only complaints, people are hard-headed on their end, wear headphones.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, I've had no problems whatsoever with it. And I've integrated it with the TriCaster Mini as a feed, as an import feed. So it's been fantastic. No complaints.
I found a secret weapon that I'm not announcing yet, that when people figure out what it is, they're going to want them. The reason I'm not announcing it is we're putting a label on it. I've actually found a deal, and when people figure out what we've got, they're going to flip out. Rob, I kind of already shared with you. Let's let me flip this back, one of those pieces.
You can't do that to me, Todd. Come on.
I can't dangle the carrot.
He's
And
I'm not in the click.
It's gonna change the guest opportunities. It's gonna improve our guests that are coming into our shows like this. So that's all I can say.
Very nice.
More,
I hate
right?
when people do that
Bring
to me.
in
They're
more,
like,
right?
Yeah, bring in more. Not necessarily a cheap solution, but it will be one that you could ship to someone, and then if they don't have a good setup, that you get good video and audio back from them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Todd. Why'd you have to tell me that, Todd?
Todd will tell you.
Yeah,
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. So we're at 90 minutes, Rob. So I think we need to. This is fun.
Yeah.
What
Filled the time.
What did we miss? Did we miss anything?
No, I think we covered it all. I mean, yeah. I can't think of anything that happened down in Vegas that we didn't really cover that was kind of big stuff.
And what happened in Vegas was already on Facebook, so from that standpoint, I'm just looking at my stack here. Oh,
what happens in Vegas stays on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But all right, well, I guess then we're going to bring this to an end. Jeff, thanks for coming on. I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday to be on with us, and we appreciate what you're doing in this space. I'm excited. Folks, make sure that you get over to the Jeff Adams Show at jeffadamsshow.tv, and definitely check out everything that's going on over there.
Jeff, are you doing a video podcast in an RSS feed that's in iTunes, or are you just doing the audio in iTunes?
I'm just doing the audio over at. We're still debating. We're just doing the audio of at Spreaker, and everything else is a video feed. So,
okay.
So is the actual video actually in an RSS feed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So many folks are just putting their YouTube stuff up, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm a video podcaster." No, YouTuber.
No, I'm done with YouTube. I'm done.
But for live, I'm liking their live platform. It's not bad, but I like this.
You get in trouble. You can get in trouble with it, but
I can't play clips. That's the only thing I can't play now. Is I can't play video clips, because if they detect it's someone else's clip, they shut you off. So that's my only complaint. I guess what else? Rob, so maybe we'll try to get Adam on next week. I don't know if it'll happen, but
Okay.
Other than that,
cool.
Do you have any other guests kind of on tap?
I always have a couple in the wings that are, that couldn't do it this week, or, because I usually go through like 4 or 5 people to find guests, and they say, "Well, I can do it the following week or the next week." So yeah, so let's just kind of compare notes here over the next week, and
Okay.
it'd be great if Adam could come on and talk about the podcasting space.
And I don't think I'm going anywhere until Podcast Movement. At least I don't have any trips scheduled right now, so I'll be here. So we'll be able to be hammering on these every weekend.
Okay.
I was honored that you pushed Adam Carolla out of the way for me to be on the show. I appreciate that, guys.
Well, Adam has got this habit of making schedules and then canceling. I think it's 2 years in a row that he's canceled on some events at New Media Expo. So he's really reliable.
Got a lot going on.
Exactly. He does have a lot going on.
Yeah. So I think that's it. So folks, it's you can email us here at the show, Todd or Rob at newmediashow.com. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Geek News. Rob, where can they find you?
RobGreenlee.com or on Twitter at Rob Greenlee, and that's 2 E's at the end. Those are the best places to find me.
And Jeff, how about you?
Just go to the JeffAdamsShow.tv. You can find everything there.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us this Saturday morning, and we'll have the show up online and available to be watched. For those of you that are already downloaded and watch, you know that. But otherwise, everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.
Okay, we're still live. Pushing buttons, pushing buttons.